Hello and welcome to my channel. I have already recorded this, but we're gonna do it again because it was all out of focus. Yay! It's fine. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna hop right in. My name is Tamara. Please subscribe to my channel and let's go. So if you have seen the title, you know we will be speaking about Rabies Pride. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Rabies Pride? I haven't heard that in years. Me too, up until recently. Now me and Kuromi will explain rabies and rabies pride. I'm just going to read the definition here by the WHO so we can just remember what exactly rabies is. Rabies is a viral zoonotic disease that causes progressive and fatal inflammation of the brain and spinal cord. Clinically, it has two forms: furious rabies and paralytic rabies. Something else I just want to specify is, yes, when you get rabies, when you've been bitten and then you kind of just go about your life and you start to feel symptoms, it's over. 99 to 100% fatal. But, big but, if you get vaccinated and you treat yourself in time, you will be fine. This is important. You may be wondering, Rabies Pride. This was all back in the day, and it was. But I was reminded about Rabies Pride when I saw a video by the TikTok user Icarus, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in which they got bitten and they, in theory, got rabies, ? And then they put the Rabies Pride flag at the end of their video, and I was like, oh, that brings me back. So, Rabies Pride. What is it? I will tell you. Rabies Pride was popularized by a Tumblr user, Rabid Loving, aka Spencer. This notoriety came from a very specific post that I'm going to read for you now. Get ready. This is going to be an extremely unpopular opinion, so bear with me, but I don't think children should be vaccinated unless they really absolutely want to be, and if they grow up into adults who still don't want to be vaccinated, then so be it. Kids are too young to fully grasp what vaccination does to you, and I don't mean that in a they'll make you autistic and die way. I mean, they don't understand what they're setting themselves up for in the future. Shots are pretty traumatic for children too, but that's for another day. If a child is too young to consent to sex or medical transition if they're trans, they're definitely too young to consent to a vax. I haven't had any contact with my family for quite some time now, so I've had a hard time knowing my medical history, especially with my lack of health insurance and a move to a different country. Because of that, I live with my constant fear that I might have been vaccinated against rabies. My family was extremely poor and had spotty health insurance, but it's hard to say. But it's fucking heartbreaking to know I might never be fully rabid because my parents might have vaccinated me as a child, when I was too young to know, too young to have a say in it. How many other kids are there, just like me? How many adults have grown up miserable because they're vaccinated against their genetic disposition for a certain disease? It's practically eugenics, and it makes me fucking sick to my stomach. There are babies right now getting vaxxed because that's what's healthy for them, and their parents have no idea how much grief they're causing right now. So yeah, maybe stop vaxxing your kids. Spencer then goes on to put up another post about their rabies story and how they supposedly got rabies. So I'm going to read you that now. My rabies story. My story. I've always had a particular closeness to the concept of rabies and identified as rabio-romantic before my diagnosis. I decided for the sake of my mental health I would become infected. This past year, I met a girl online who was born with rabies and said she could infect me. Side note, I'm 99% sure this is not something that can happen. Also, please don't let anything with rabies bite you. Anyway, sorry. We met up this past June and, excuse the TMI, took part in beep. You can guess. She bit me really hard on the shoulder until I bled, and I've had rabies ever since. I refuse to go to a doctor, so they tend not to understand rabia/virus actuals, so please don't ask me to. Does this mean you're going to die soon? Short answer, no. Contrary to belief, rabies doesn't actually kill you. This is actually false. I just really want to specify that. Thank you. I'm in the incubation period at the moment, so I have no symptoms. Everyone experiences rabies differently, and I could potentially live a full, happy life. For example, the girl who bit me was born with rabies and hasn't died yet. Now, these posts went around, and everyone on Tumblr and online around 2018 was like, and then there was people spreading like, your fave has rabies, and it would be like a picture of like Sherlock or another character, you know how Tumblr be. And people were like, is this real? Is this real? Am I living in like some sort of simulation? Is this real? It was not real. Spencer deactivated and then later said it was a joke amongst their friends. Also, there was an entire other thing where Spencer had alters, but this was, I think, a lie also, and they had a boyfriend, but the boyfriend died, but then that also was all a lie, I think, and it was just an entire ordeal in itself. But basically, it was a lie. So, Rabies Pride was actually a real thing, but it wasn't what you may think. Jacob Strider was the real person to make the movement, and it was actually for people who are both trans and autistic, and I think they explain it better than I will. So I'm just going to read you their post that they put up about Rabies Pride, what it originally was, and how they feel about the takeover and the memification of this whole thing. Let's go. Rabies Pride. So as some of you may have known, I created Rabies Pride as a movement for trans autistic individuals to embrace who they are back in 2017. Only a handful, maybe 30 people, used it, and then one day a kid named Spencer, aka Rabbit Loving, was memed on after one of his obviously satire posts about wanting rabies and being rabiosexual went viral. This completely derailed my movement and destroyed all the foothold it had because people would rather make fun of a mentally ill child who finds comfort in something strange than take a step back and let people cope how they wish with satire posts about themselves. They ended up chasing him off the website to the point where he had to change his name and make his accounts private. Disgusting on the website side. During this time, people were making flags and memes, and at first they were playful and nice, and people could still use rabiosexual and rabies pride in a bit of a similar way as my original definition, as they used it to basically mean they were proud of being someone who was feral or high energy. But even then, most of the memes were laughing at the people using it and not with, as most of us thought. So here's the original definition and the background of Rabies Pride that I created. Rabies Pride is for autistic trans people. It's for all the people that were treated like animals, treated like they were contagious or had a deadly disease by classmates, siblings, anyone just for being too loud, too hyper, too close, too much, due to having autism and being openly trans. For all the people that can't be taken seriously due to things they cannot control and were born with. So that's a bit weird. Anyway. Rabies Pride is a movement to accept yourself and find others just like you who agree that you shouldn't have to act like a quote-unquote normal person to be able to be yourself. We believe that you are perfect as you, and however you grow or expand or learn or love is perfect for you, and it doesn't matter how others feel about your identity or brain or self. That's what Rabies Pride is about, so think twice next time you make a meme about it or make fun of someone using it. The background of it was back in 2017. A couple of friends and I in college started trying to think of a way to help ourselves feel safer as ourselves and not be ashamed of who we couldn't help being. Now, most of us were furries, and all of us were autistic and trans, using cosplay, fursuiting, art, and alt fashion as a way of escaping the reality of our brains not matching our bodies. So one night we were all joking around and trying to think of a movement to make for ourselves since we couldn't make a club at the community college, and we thought of feral/cooties and rabies as the names. Since most of us were furries, we decided on Rabies Pride. And it was born. They then did an FAQ at the end, and I'm going to link it below, but I'm just going to read a little bit of it, but not all of it. So if you want to know more, I will leave a link in the description. Some FAQ. Can anyone use it? Legally, yes. No one is going to call you out or stop you, but it was created for autistic trans people, so I would like if you were both. Did you create the flag? No, we also didn't have one before it was stolen, so we just used the rabiosexual one in hopes we can reclaim it back from the people who made fun of us. So yeah, that was Jacob, the real person who made Rabies Pride, and it was a bit of a different definition to maybe what you were expecting. Not as gory, zombie vibes as what it got memed to be. So yeah, that's what they have to say on it. But I just have one more update. So of course all of this happened on Tumblr a few years ago, and then we haven't really gotten any updates. Let me fix my bang and we will start that again. So all of this happened on Tumblr 2018, around then. Not really many updates until 2021, and I will show you on the screen the new and improved Rabies Pride flag. Yes, as far as I'm aware, this one is actually liked and like genuine for the community. It was made on Tumblr by a user named Dexter. I will leave it linked below if you want to look at it, and they make a few flags I've seen from, I went through their Tumblr a little bit, and they seem to make loads of flags for like different things. So yeah, I think this one is like genuinely enjoyed. Again, I'm not going to read it all because you don't need to know all the information, but if you do want to know more, I will leave it linked below. But yes, Dexter made this flag and they said, here's my rabies flag design. I'm definitely open to criticism since I'm not 100% sure if I'm happy with it. You can check out this post to get a link to the original coinage description of Rabies Pride after learning this information. I decided to make this flag for myself and anyone else who wants to reclaim Rabies Pride. So yes. And then they just explain the definition of Rabies Pride, which I already went over, so I won't go over it again. But yeah, and then they explain the colors. I will leave this all linked below. I'm not gonna go into everything because you might not want to know the details of every single color, but the colors are blue, green, brown, dark pink, light pink, yellow. Those are the colors. I do think it's cool that they added the brown color to represent the POC people in this thing. Like, if they're anything, you cannot say they are not inclusive. I'm just saying. So yeah, please don't let rabid animals or rabid people bite you. And get vaccinated. Thank you. If you've gotten this far and you're still here, thank you. This is my first video, so woo woo. I guess I should say like, comment, subscribe. Leave a hate comment if you want. A comment's still a comment. And I will leave my social media linked below, leave a few links below about the whole thing. Thank you so much for watching. Me and Karomi say bye. Adios.